Welcome and thank you for joining the ASPPH Presents webinar, Public Health Careers. This is actually about the Public Health Associates Program with the CDC. So I'm Tracy Seward, Senior Director of Outreach and Recruitment at ASPPH, and I'm very excited to moderate this session. Our speaker today is Heidi Pfeiffer. She is on the Partnership Education and Training Team with the CDC. We will be taking Q&A throughout the session today, and we encourage you to stay by your computer and post questions at any point. At the end, we will have time to answer them. We are recording today's webinar, and it will be available soon on our website. With that, I'm going to hand it over to Heidi. Thank you.
Hi, thanks, Tracy. Hi, everyone. My name is Heidi Pfeiffer, and I really appreciate the opportunity to be here with you guys. Today, I realize systems are busy and life is busy, so we really at CDC appreciate you taking time to listen to a little bit more about our Public Health Associate Program. As far as who I am, I work for the Public Health Associate Program, and we'll talk a little bit more about that today. But I wanted to share a little bit about myself as a background. I am a public health nurse, about 25 years of public health experience, and I've been at CDC for about 15 years now. So I kind of have a nice combination of state, local, as well as federal experience. So working for this program really has been an incredible experience for me. And my goal here today is for you to understand about what the program is, how we can get some of your students associated with our program, and kind of reach out to you to ask your help in helping us find host sites, as well as people who are best fit for our program, and also just make sure that you understand that we're here to help you guys also help the public health network of staffing within the public health arena. But what I want to know first, though, is on a scale of A, B, and C, what is your knowledge level of PHAP? A is I have no knowledge of PHAP, if you just want to put it into the chat box so I can see how many A's we have. B, I have heard of PHAP, or C, I am well informed about PHAP. So A is I've no knowledge of PHAP, or B, I've heard of PHAP, or C, I am well informed. You just see the chat box and okay. Open up my chat box. Oh, good. Combination of both. Oh, good. So a lot of people are this is new to you. This is perfect. This is what we like. Fantastic. Well, thank you very much. Let's go to the next one. For anyone who did say B or knew a little bit about the program, has anyone encouraged anyone to apply for the program? Yes or no? Type in yes or no in the chat box so I get an idea of people. Yes, 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 yes. This is great. I got some yeses. Fantastic. Well, I hope those folks have made it in, and hopefully we'll get some clarity on how we can get some of your folks, your current students, into the program. Next slide, please. This is what PHAP is. These people right here is what Public Health Associate Program is all about. Next slide. This is PHAP. All these people, with the exception of that beautiful young woman there in the corner getting assistance with her shoes on, these are PHAPs. These are associates. Next slide. And believe it or not, this gentleman in the cornfield here, this little field here, is a PHAP as well. I wanted to talk a little bit more, show you pictures of what PHAP is and not as much words on the slide. So I have my presentations really filled with lots of pictures of what the associates look like. But this is what PHAP is. Well, what is it kind of with the words? Basically, PHAP is a 2-year program. It's a competency-based training program at CDC. It's a partnership between host sites and associates. They are true federal employees. We hire them at a GS5 level. They're here for 2 years. They're here for 2 years, and they are placed in host sites. And this partnership between the host site, it can be done with a state, tribal, local, territorial health department. We can work with NGOs, community-based organizations, or even fellow federal agencies. What is our mission? Very simple, very simple. It's kind of almost the same thing as what your mission here is in the academic level. The mission of PHAP is to provide training and experiential learning to early career public health professionals who contribute to the public health workforce. We basically want to make sure that we get people who want to be in public health. We want to get the brightest, we want to get the best, we want to get the ones that are going to commit to work in the public health workforce. About 91% of our experiential training is in the field. So these associates are actually placed in host departments, health departments, as I mentioned, and 91% of the training is related to the competencies are related to experiential training. And about 9% of it is academic in regards to training that they take on CDC Train or any other type of webinars that we offer. But most of it is about boots on the ground, learning the field work, getting them out into the host sites and getting them into the health departments and public health workforce so they can actually get their boots wet and really understand what it's like to work public health. Well, we know what it is, but what is it? Well, it's definitely not an internship. And that's one thing we really want to make sure people are aware of. It's not an internship. These positions in these health departments are pretty much unrecognizable from their partners in the position themselves at the local or state level. They're not administrative staffing specialists, even though I can say, as you know, some of these folks that I work with can work on an Excel spreadsheet that I've never seen them do. It's amazing. But they're not administrative support staff. They're there to work actual public health practice. They're not, PHAP is not a government job task, a government job staffing training center. We're not here to find just government jobs for people. We're here to refill that pipeline of public health. And we also want to make sure that people know that the PHAP program and the associates that work for the program is they're not subject matter experts. These are training people. And this partnership that we talked about a little bit about, you know, working with these host sites is a partnership because the host site has to be on board with it as well and know that they're going to get a training person. They're going to get someone who might not be as experienced. And this is not just getting a CDC field person. This is actually developing someone for a public health practice program. The program is based in competencies. We have 9 domains and they're listed on the screen. And we have about 42 competencies. And what we've done is we've looked at the position descriptions for the GS5 and GS7, which are categories and series categories within CDC that we hire people at. But we also looked at what are the public health practice main competencies that the academic scholars are using. We do a lot of work with the Council of Linkages, and we actually are in the process now of modifying our competencies and our domains, adding and pulling away. We're seeing this evolution of change. We're seeing a change in what the associates are doing. So we are definitely based in competencies. We make sure that these host sites are aware of the competencies and to make sure that they know that it's their job, that their associate or their person they're working with can meet the 42 competencies. And when you see them, they're on our website. They're pretty much stuff that you and I do every single day. So I wanted to kind of share with you that we did have domains listed, and most of this is probably you do one of these things every single day. Well, what is the benefit? Probably the biggest benefit is that you're a CDC employee. And that's one of the things that's really important is that they're temporary field assignees. They receive a salary, they get paid in sick leave, they get vacation leave, health insurance. So they really are CDC employees. They're staff members hired by CDC as a full-time employee. What's nice and what's very good about this is that this 2 years of hands-on experience allows the associate to develop a lot of career skills, working with the host sites, working in the field, working with patients, working with clients, working with the community. So it allows them to build this type of core skill sets that match not necessarily just what we need at CDC, but matches what public health is looking for the next generation, or at least the next iteration, we would say, of public health practitioners. Each assignment is individually tailored to the person, depending on what the host site requires. Some host sites might need work within the STD field. So those assignments are tailored towards STD, or in this situation, we've had a lot of them tailored more towards COVID and contact tracing or in health communications. But it's highly competitive. We get thousands of applicants a year, and we only hire, I think this year we were shooting for about 200, and we're at about 185 right now. We started in 2007, and our pilot was only 10. So really, we really wanted to make sure that we got the right people. But one of the things that's really important for us to understand is that we want to make sure that each of these associates get the skills that are required, also can nurture what their interest is in public health. Do they want to stay in public health? Do they want to work in environmental health? Do they want to stay in public servants? One thing also too that we're seeing now is that once you're in the system at CDC, which is actually kind of nice, and many of you probably are aware of that, is that at the end of this 2 years, they then can compete for positions that are within CDC. So it's kind of a nice jumpstart for them if they were looking for a career to work within CDC. And these can be out in the field, and we really encourage that field work. But this is a really nice benefit for them. So they spend the first 2 years at a 5 and 7, and then they can apply for a GS9 within immunization or even program they weren't working for the first 2 years to really get them, because we know we have the core competencies already met, and CDC is aware of the core competencies and knows what they're coming and what they're getting at the time. One thing that also is very, very beneficial for our associates, especially this year, is that they become a tier 2 emergency responder. And if we can go to the next slide, I'll show you some of our responses that we've had with our associates. You know, back in 2007 when this program started, and it was based off of really really nurturing and bolstering the public health associate or the public health advisor series here at CDC was, you know, everyone responds to emergencies every single day. It's what we do. But in 2015, we saw a huge draw on our associates asking us for help. You know, you've got field staff here. We need help. We need help to read responders. So we did respond people over to Africa, even locally at the emergency operations centers. And as you can see, we've been responding ever since with Zika, measles, and even now for COVID. We've had over 300 of our PHAPs respond. And, you know, knowing a little bit about who they are, it's a big deal for them to actually be involved in emergency response, because to them, they think emergency response is FEMA. And they forget that there's a whole health department or a whole structure that has to take care of people. So it's been nice to kind of really be actively involved. That bottom picture is the most current picture with all of us in our PPE was at the LAX airport. It was me with 5 different other PHAPs teaching them how to don and doff PPE. Well, they're thrilled to do this. This is an amazing experience for them, and they did an incredible job. So one of the benefit also with the associates is they do become a responder, that they can respond not only at the federal level, but at the local level, because technically they are local responders at the health department. One of the most important slides and one of the most important times right now for us to talk about right now is this model right now, this best fit model. Just like that little kid getting fit with a life preserver, and that is a PHAP actually doing that as part of the job, is that we want to make sure that we get the best fit for this program. We want someone who's a big picture thinker, someone that can think outside of the boundaries, can look and kind of expand what they're thinking about, make sure that it fits broader into public health, that they just don't want to do one thing, but they'll do more than one thing, and that public health is a bigger picture. We want to make sure that they can actually take the time, look at public health, know that there's financial and there is program and then there's political and there's so many parts to public health. So we really want someone who can look at life a little bit bigger and look at it in a bigger picture aspect. We want to make sure that these people who apply for our positions are effective communicators. Well, communication's changing, and I think we all know that. You know, 20 years ago, communication verbally was so important. Well, nowadays we want to make sure someone can communicate verbally, but we also want to make sure that they can use the technology that's available out there to our advantage. We're seeing more and more social media being used during the COVID response, that, you know, effective communication isn't always just presenting or writing well. We want to make sure they have a combination of all of this. And sometimes we do get candidates who might not be very strong orally, but will actually do well by getting more practice during those 2 years. So the effective communicator is very important for us. We also want to make sure that the people that apply for our program are socially and culturally inclusive. Public health professionals frequently work with individuals from different social and cultural backgrounds. There may be differences in race and religion, ethnicity, gender, age, pretty much any different type of color or flavor that we work with within public health. And even philosophical views, we're all being tested right now, even with the political views. You know, candidates, we want them to be respectful. We want them to understand there are differences. We want them to know that they are free to act and to talk to people, but also realize that there's prejudice and bigotry out there, and there's unbiased racism, and that we want them to be tolerant and accepting of different people. You know, you work with an age group that we tend to want in our associate program, and we realize that this is a different world right now. So we want someone to understand that being socially and culturally inclusive doesn't mean that they've taken so many trainings and they understand. They have to be tolerant, and they also want to be able to want to help. And those are the people that we want in our program. We also want to make sure that people can really survive and thrive within a dynamic program. You all have experience working in a dynamic program just in the last year with the changes of COVID. virtual learning, in-person learning, changing rules, how are we going to be doing it? Well, we want to make sure people are flexible enough that they can adjust to any type of challenges that come in their way, that they can adapt quickly, that if there is someone who's yelling at them in a clinic, or if they can't get the person on the call, or if they're going out during an emergency and something happens, we want them to be able to adapt quickly and change. We also want a positive attitude. We want a can-do kind of attitude. Sounds like we want the best people. Well, we do. We want the best fit. We want people who will go into a situation, want to have a win-win situation, but also go above and beyond and fight and work towards getting the goal of what the situation is. It's really important for them to take lessons learned that they've learned from their mentors, from their host sites, from their supervisors on the ground. What is this town like? What's the best way to approach the elderly in this area? Or do I go to faith-based churches? Or can I go to smaller centers where there's youth involved? So really, we want to make sure that they're not only they can thrive in these dynamic environments, but they're flexible, and also that they're going to be somewhat capable of recognizing and adapting to changing conditions, because we know public health changes every single day. The I for intelligent, I want someone smart. I want someone who can make some smart decisions. And, we don't want the smartest person in the class. We don't want the one with the best GPA. We want someone who's intelligent and someone who has academic success throughout their entire career, someone who can understand new information, new ideas, take them and actually work with them and make it more of their project. And we want them to be able to have some common sense, which is really important with intelligence. We know a lot of smart people, but sometimes people just don't have that common sense. We want that combination. And I think the last thing that we have under this best fit model is a tactile learner. You're in the field. You're not going to be sitting in your desk sometimes. You might be out in the field testing well water or getting beach samples or going out to find people in the homeless population. We want someone who can learn and understand that you're going to be out possibly with people. You're going to be getting on-the-job experience. They're expected to understand that there is structure and there are functions of public health programs, but they've also got to work within between this function and this structure, and also make sure that they deliver this program the way that the local health department or the state department or whoever they're working for is having them do that. We want to make sure that they gain the competence in all the technical elements and carry out any of the public health activities that they're being advised to do or is on their work plan. So we want to make sure that they understand that this is field work. This is getting their boots wet, and they're going to be outside and really getting into the population of public health. We have a lot of our learners this year really want to learn more about population health. Well, it's very synonymous with us in our eyes to public health, and it's what we do and what we do the best. So we really want to make sure that we've got the best fit. And this is the one thing I want everyone walking away from this, other than, learning a little bit more about our program, but knowing that we're looking for the best fit. And I'm going to ask you something at the end of our presentation related to this best fit model. And all this information that I'm talking about is located on our CDC website, and I'll give you the link at the end as well. Well, who are we? Well, this is who we are right now. We've got two classes. We just hired a class in October, and we had a class last October that started for their 2-year cohort in 2019, and this is where we have them spread out. It's not anything that we choose. What we do is we put an application period out for host sites, and we can talk about the different types in a second. And what happens is these host sites put out requests and they fill an application out, and they say, this is our need. Here are the competencies. They match yours. We want to have an associate. And as you can see, we've got them from all over. Currently, we've had them in every state. We've gone territories. We've got 2 going to Guam. We have currently some in Virgin Islands right now, Puerto Rico, and then I think the Marshall Islands or Mariana Islands. I have to recheck on that we have for our 220. But we've got associates going out to the territories as well as Alaska. So you can see we're kind of, East Coast, West Coast kind of heavy, but then we see a little bit more. And, what we ask for you is to help us figure out, not only who are the best fit for our associates to work within the program for 2 years, but do you have colleagues or do you have coworkers that work within the health departments or NBO or CBOs or even community-based organizations that would benefit from having someone who wants to learn baseline field public health? So this is just a map of our current 200 and our 100 right now. We have 100, and that's current as of August 1st, 2020. And as I said, October 13th, we just onboarded 185 new associates. Like this, and like anything that's happening currently, we are way over top. We are, from 100 and something last year to up to 200 this year we wanted to hire. So right now we have 185 who started on the 13th. And I threw this slide in here for you to see their background of, the requirements we'll talk about in the next couple of slides to be in the program. But the majority of them, we've seen this throughout the 10 years that I've been here, is the bachelor's. We require just a bachelor's. It doesn't have to be in public health. We want it to be in a field of their interest, but we want them to be interested in public health. We're seeing probably in the last 5 years, I've seen a change where many of the associates who get their bachelor's can't find positions and go on for their master's. So we're seeing a little bit of an increase in master level associates coming right from academia to working. So we're seeing a little bit of change there. And every once in a while, we'll get a doctorate level. I remember one of the very first doctorate level was someone from Ghana. He was a neurosurgeon. And he wanted to work in CDC, and this was one of the best pathways for him to get into CDC. He now works for a local health department as their epidemiologist. So he's still within the program, still working in public health. But we do occasionally get the doctorate level, a student that comes in right out of college. So this is the breakdown for the class of 2020 right now, where they are as far as the number of assignments. Initially, the program started back in 2007, and the idea really was to get people into local health departments, state health departments, get them into the actual core public health practice work. And as you can see, we're expanding because we're realizing that there is needs across the field. And we work in the territories, as mentioned. We're seeing more and more tribally focused agencies reaching out to us, nations and health departments, or even Indian Indian nation centers asking us to come around and please, can we bring someone to work there? And we do that. We definitely have. And we've got people, even someone like my boss has worked a lot in a lot of recruitment within the nation to get more, not necessarily only students, but also host sites. And we do have people within the probably focused agencies currently. Non-governmental agencies, we've got CBOs, some colleges, University of South Dakota this year, Johns Hopkins as well. We've got someone working with Johns Hopkins. And in that situation, we've got combinations of a work plan that involves not only some work with academia, but also with the local health department. For example, with Johns Hopkins, we've got someone working with the Baltimore City STD clinic. So we've got this person learning disease investigation and contact tracing, but also learning a little bit more about how academia works. So it's a nice combination. So that's why we do appeal to academic institutions to become host sites, but we also want to make sure that you're going to meet that core public health competencies in the field, and to make sure that they understand exactly what their requirements are. And then, of course, the one that's probably stunning out to me right now is this 20 with federal. Recently, with COVID, we've done a lot of work with our federal agencies at the quarantine stations. So we've placed a lot of our associates at the quarantine stations this year. We've also done a lot of work of extending our class of 2018 who weren't hired. We actually hired them for CDC to work in COVID positions within their health departments. So what's demonstrating to me is a lot of flexibility with our program. We're at a kind of an impotence right now of changing what we look and how we respond to public health, because public health has been changing. This gives you an idea of where the class of 2020 is. And this is probably very similar, I should say probably, but is very similar to what the class of 2019 looks like as well. Not as much probably heavy on the federal side. Here are some of the programs that they work in. It's core public health programs, everything that you and I are very familiar with. 10 essentials are involved in there. We've got the quarantine side of it. COVID falls under this, any of those public health programs that a host site can apply for. But as long as we're meeting the competencies and we can get the competencies achieved in those 2 years in a pretty functional work plan, programs can apply. And we really encourage that. We encourage, if you have we're not project oriented. That's one thing I wanted to mention too, is we're not project oriented. And we want to make sure that host sites and even the associates understand that they're not going into a health department to work on a project. They're going into work side by side by other public health professionals and do a position. And if it's an immunization or if it's a public health preparedness, you're going to be going out and doing sometimes some exercises, or you might be responding to some emergencies and floods. Our Florida folks will tell you right now that sometimes their entire job is nothing but hurricanes from a certain time period. Well, even though they might have been hired for STD. That's what's nice about our host sites, and that's what's nice about the program, is that we really want people to understand that we are flexible and we will jump on a dime and pivot when we need to. So as you see examples here of associate programs, they can be, we have accreditation, they can be a little bit fulfilling and also reach out to different parts of the program within public health in general. So how does one become an associate? Well, there's some eligibility criteria, and it's listed here, and everything, again, as I said, is listed on our website. They've got to be a U.S. citizen. They've got to be committed to public service. One of the things you're seeing probably within your students is this commitment to public servitude, is to really want to do the best they can and help. Well, that's what we want. We want people who want to help. We require them a GPA of a 3.0 from the last degree they received, and it's got to be within 2 years. So a lot of associates can take a year off after their bachelor's and they still can apply, but as long as their GPA is a 3.0 and they've got their accredited degree within the last 2 years, they qualify. This one right here is a big one. The host sites that you saw on that map, we don't move people. We don't pay to move them. They have to be willing to relocate at their own expense. And one of the things that the program has done really, really well in the last probably, I'd say 3 or 4 years, is we've gotten big enough now where our pool of host sites has gotten large enough that we can give people options, meaning, would you want to be on the East Coast? Would you want to be on the West Coast? Do you not want to go to a territory? Do you want to go here? In the last couple of years, we've been able to ask those questions and help these associates get to where they're somewhat comfortable. When I was here in 2010, they took what was available. And if it was in San Diego and they were in Richmond, Virginia, that's the option that you were given, and that's what you took or didn't take. Now we're being a little bit more flexible, but when it comes to the fiduciary side of this, we don't give them any moving expenses. There's nothing there. They get the regular GS5 salary of 30-something-ish, depending, of course, the cost of living. There's increases per state, and then there's also cost of living within each state. You get a little bit more for being in New York City versus East Cupcake, Kansas, but they have to be willing to relocate at their own expense. And they also have to be willing to commit and work for 2 years, 2 full years. And that's considered the graduation, and that's considered completing the program. Like I said, once they're done in those 2 years, that next day, pretty much that next day, when we work prior to that, they're eligible for another step for GS positions at CDC. So, we want to make sure that they either stay with CDC or they stay in public health, and we make it really somewhat very easy for them, and they don't have to compete with anyone outside within jobs for CDC. So we want to make sure they can commit for those 2 years and be dedicated to us. What is the application process? We've got the dates for you in a second, but the very first thing is that all applications are done through USA Jobs. And I can imagine there's probably people on the call going, oh, because I myself, just USA Jobs is not the most easiest thing. It's gotten better. It's definitely gotten better. But we do our applications through USA Jobs, and it's open during only a week time period. And everything has to be perfect on that USA Jobs application. So the one thing that we tend to talk about with people is when you're looking at USA Jobs and you're looking to apply, take the time to spend, look at the program, look at USA Jobs, look what's required, because someone who is so qualified, who could be one of the best associates, by not checking one box, would not put them on the list. So we do the application through USA Job, and that's where I say we get thousands, 3,000, 4,000 candidates. Then at that point, what happens is then, did they make that next step? And then people who didn't check the box or weren't qualified, who don't have the minimum eligibility requirements, they come off that list, and then we get a list. And then what we do here at CDC with the PHAP program is we do personal statements. We ask them to do personal statements by writing responses to questions. And we use metrics to measure their responses, and then we score them. And then we basically move to the next step, which is the virtual interview. And we've been doing them on Skype way back in 2010. We used to do them face-to-face. It was nice. It was nice to meet them. But now it's even better now with COVID, because we have to really learn someone's face and their character and who they are over virtual. And virtual is going to be around for a while. So this has been kind of a nice transition, because we've been doing it for quite a while, for us to keep continuing them through the next process. So that's a 3-step process for, it sounds so easy, doesn't it, to be PHAP associate. But these are pictures of associates. That's a class, I want to say, of 218 right there in the top right. And in the bottom left is one of our associates working with a game warden. And I'm not sure if it's a rabies check or what they're doing, but public health covers across all different domains. So I just wanted to share that little story there. Another bit of information that's extremely important, other than this best fit model that we spoke about, is when is this available? When is the applications only open? They're only open once a year. And this year they're going to be open from January 20th to January 27th. Okay, it's going to be through USA Jobs. I encourage you all to keep USA Jobs as a safe mark to reach out to your associates, to reach out to your students to talk to a little bit about what is federal positions, what do federal positions look like. Well, in this situation, this is a great training program. This is a training program for someone to come into a program for 2 years to get the base of common sense core competencies. So the 20th to the 27th is when we are opening up the application. It's done electronically. Host sites, I'm really here to talk to you about your students, but I do want to put a little kick in here about the host sites themselves. We want to get quality host sites. We want to get quality host sites that could use our associates, someone who could actually benefit from having someone to come in and do the job of a possible employee. So if you know sites that are available or would be interested, share this information with them. Let's talk about that. But that opening is going to be December 15th to February 16th. Normally we would only open it for about a month, but we're doing it for 2 months now due to COVID, just because of the time. It takes time to fill an application out, especially when it comes to how are you going to have the work plan match the competencies and also get a good win-win situation for all of your parties involved. So those are the 2 dates to really pay attention to, is January 20th through the 27th, and then this December until 15th until February 16th of 2021. After January is when the candidate applications are reviewed in February to April, and those are February-ish, April-ish, and then we make the connections in May and June. So as you can see, people apply in January and they're not notified until October. Because of this process and because we're working with a government system, it does take time. So we are kind of at the mercy of the federal system of hiring, but we do want to make sure that we get the quality candidates. So that's why we do take time with the personal statements and also the virtual interviews. Right around July and August is when we start making the phone calls, and that's the fun part of the job, is calling up and telling someone that they've been accepted at CDC. And then October is when they started, and just this past October 13th is when we had a little over 185 people start. Some people had fell out, but you can see though, from January to October, there's a long time. And I think, we try to make this fit within the lifespan of a college student, but unfortunately, we've got to do the best that's for the associates as well as what's good for host sites, working under a governmental structure, which has been challenging at times. But we've kind of mastered this timeline. We've been really sticking to it pretty close. And associates do get that call in July and August, end of summer. And that's when they're told, do you want to go to Chicago? Do you want to go to Boston? And that's when they start making their plans to move and find out who their host sites are. So this is the timeline. These slides will be available after the presentation, but I will also be sharing with you a 1-pager that has pretty much everything I'm going to be talking about today on it, as well as our website. So don't be worried about keeping all the information down on paper. We'll make sure, and I'll make sure that I give Tracy the link to the 1-pager as far as our website. And you can always call us to ask questions about, the timeline, has anything changed? And we're always updating our website. Okay, so what's my ask? What am I asking you guys today? Well, what we want you to do is take a look at our website. Go on our site, go on CDC's website, look at PHAP. Look at some of the testimonials, look at some of the testimonials from the host site. There's videos there, there's stories there, there's pictures of students that you're teaching right now that could be doing something very similar like that in a year from now. Look at our website, take a look at and see what you think would be the best feel for you. And then take that feel that you think and reach out to your best fit students, the ones that you feel would want to make public health their career, people who would fit into our best fit model and would do the job that you think would be the best as far as you being academic and us being at the employer side. We want to make sure that you share this information with your other faculty members that weren't able to be on the call today. Send the link to them, talk to them about PHAP, send them my name. We want to make sure that we get every single avenue covered. We really don't have to recruit. And that's one thing that we're I don't want to say proud of, but we say we get thousands of applicants a day, every year. But what we want to make sure is that these applicants are the best fit ones. And we've mastered this. We're getting better at this by choosing and making our metrics measure the best fit and not just the higher scores or the better GPAs or the people who volunteered the most. We really have a metric that is a little bit more a behavioral respondent. And it takes the time to really measure the quality of the actual person. And that's where I think this best fit model really fits into a way for you to determine who do you think would be the best person to apply. And also that last one was also about host sites is, share information to other programs. All of you probably have contacts in health departments. And some of them might tell you that they've already had PHAPs already. But if you've got friends or family or even colleagues that work in public health practice agencies, send the information to them, have them learn about us. We have been sending people to American Heart Association. We've had people working at CBOs in downtown Detroit. So we've pretty much trying to cover everywhere we can and making these host sites open to the need as well as the best fit people. But we really need you guys' help to find these host sites. State health departments know about us, local health departments know about us because by funding by CDC. But we really want to make sure that we get the ones who really truly need the help from PHAP, and also going to be one of the best kind of learning grounds for our associates. It's a very quick presentation. I'm from New York, so I love to talk fast. So I'll apologize if I was going too quick for everybody, but really the information is pretty simple. And we wanted to come online here and talk a little bit about the program and kind of share some successes and talk a little bit about what that best fit model is all about, and hopefully answer any questions you guys have. And we can open it up now, Tracy or Brittany. I just really appreciate the time.
Great. Thank you so much, Heidi. I learned a lot about the program here. So as I mentioned before, you can submit questions through the Q&A box at the bottom. And we do have a bunch of questions that have already come in. So let me stop my sharing and start asking. Okay, so with the pandemic, is the 2021 cohort expected to be working in person or remotely?
Good question. Right now we've got a combination of both. What we have is we've got majority of our associates are having a hybrid. They're working some in the office and some have like Tuesday or Thursdays remotely. So it's kind of a hybrid right now. We do have associates who are 100% teleworking, which is not something that we really promoted with PHAP. We wanted in the field, we wanted on the ground, we wanted them to be actually doing work, but COVID has made us change at least our expectations. But we also understand that even at home, which most of us know, we're doing on the ground work, just virtually. We're going to get a whole different level of skill sets achieved. But it is a combination. But normally, though, during a normal scenario, non-pandemic, we do not allow our associates to telework. It's a 9 to 5 Monday through Friday job, and they're either in the field or working a health fair on a weekend. But we don't allow them because they're training for 2 years.
Great. Are there public health programs that involve health policy?
Yes, I shouldn't say believe it or not, but yes, there are. One of the things we want to make sure is that health policy placement is balanced with core public health, that it's not something that is required or requested by an agency that we want someone to come in and do our SOPs, or we want someone to come in and do our health policy towards this or work at this project. We want to make sure that they're going to get that experience, which is very valuable, but also get the core competencies that CDC and PHAP have established. So the applications that we tell host sites, we say to them, if you're looking for a policy person, fantastic, but make sure that you marry that with a core public health placement. That they're going to understand what it's like to know what clinic functions look like, or know what preparedness looks like, maybe even just on an outside view. But we've got to make sure that it's focused within one of the 10 essential items of public health. We also want to make sure that it's not just you're writing SOPs. And that's what that PHAP review is all about. We review host site applications, hours and hours and hours and hours. And we make sure that they fit the competencies. And if they don't, they're moved on. So, and when we've got trainings on our website for, filling out an application for a host site 101 that host sites can learn and hear. And, what's some of the pitfalls and how do I make sure I can get an associate? So yeah, health policy is something that we're definitely interested in.
Awesome. And similarly, have you ever had anybody working in oral health?
I had some associates. I was a supervisor for about 8 years, and I had an associate working in Colorado. Because I want to say in Colorado, they were getting funding for oral health, and that's how they were bringing clients in, actually. They were bringing them in through the oral health funding and then doing public health care other side. I don't think we have, I might have some colleagues on the phone who could maybe jump in, but I don't think we've had anyone specifically for oral health. But I think the only thing I can remember is I remember we had someone in Denver, or it was Denver or Fort Collins, that they were using oral health as their mechanism of bringing them in and then providing other public health services while they were there.
Interesting. Okay. Next questions are related to graduates of May 2021. Are they eligible to apply for the October 2021 start, or do they need to wait to the following year?
As long as you have your degree conferred before you start your job at CDC, yes, they will qualify in May because they'll have their degree conferred by the time they actually have to send it in for, yes, I have a degree. So yes, they would be.
Okay, great. Who pays the salary for the interns? Is it the CDC or the host agency?
That's the best part. We do. CDC pays the salary, benefits, everything. We pay for everything with the exception of some local travel. So if anyone is doing, local work around the agency, they may have to pay for a little bit of the mileage, but we pay for everything. You basically get an associate who is a CDC employee, but we tell them that as soon as they walk into the local health department, they're yours. They're your staff. They recognize as Richmond City Health District, Denver County Health Department, American Heart Association. Sure, they're paid by us. And we discourage them to really say, hi, I'm CDC. We tell them that you're working local because this is where it happens. This is where everything happens here. So we pay for all the benefits. You will have a supervisor, a CDC PHAP supervisor that this person works with on an administrative side in regards to all the requirements. But also what's nice about the CDC PHAP supervisor is they complement the mentor and the coaching of the host site supervisor because they're public health just like myself. So it's almost like a 2-for-1. You get 2 supervisors for 1 associate, but we work in tandem with them, but we pay for pretty much everything with the exception of some local travel and any type of conferences, things like that. We won't pay for that.
Great benefit for the host sites.
Very much so, yes.
Also, with talking about money, are students eligible for loan forgiveness if they participate in PHAP?
Yes, they are.
Great.
Simple answer. Yes, they are. And I think it's great. And I wish I knew about it years ago.
Okay, so when they become a PHAP, what kind of training do they receive? Does the CDC provide opportunities for PHAP interns to meet and learn from each other? I guess those
yes,
are two.
Actually, they do. Well, as far as the competencies, we've got competencies and we've got a full training requirement for them. For example, we require them to take ICS courses. We require them to take Public Health 101 courses. Because what's interesting, and I want to kind of talk a little bit about some of my experience, is that I've had associates that have applied and we've hired that had no public health background. One of my favorite, if they're ever on these webinars, they're going to die, but one of the best associates I've ever supervised was he had a public health, he had a degree in drama, had a bachelor's in drama. And he was fantastic because he could act, he could talk, he could communicate, but he wanted to learn all about public health. And one of the things we do is we want to make sure that you're not going to get someone who's going to walk into your health department who knows everything about public health. That's what our job is. We talk to them about Public Health 101. We teach them about public health law. We have them take trainings. So then they're learning as they go along. But health departments and host sites know this. So they know they're not going to get someone who's going to walk in and hit the ground running because this is a training program. This is not an internship or a fellowship. It's truly, truly a training program. So we have about, I want to say 40 some odd training courses they've got to take in conjunction with whatever the host site wants them to take as well. But it's a wide varying across all subjects. As far as there was a second question to that.
Oh shoot, I just missed it. I think, do they have a chance to learn from each other?
Yeah, what's nice about this is we've got multiple associates at same host sites. So a host site, for example, can apply for 3 different associates. They can apply for someone in STD, they can apply for someone in preparedness, and they can apply for someone in maternal child health. And it's possible they'll get all 3 of them. So there'll be 3 PHAP associates in, let's say, Richmond City Health District. We've got many in Miami. We've got many in Los Angeles. We've got up to 15 in New York City, different locations. One might be working tuberculosis, one might be working preparedness, but they're all within the New York City Department of Health, mental health and hygiene. So yeah, we definitely have other opportunities. And what's nice about that is we've been able to grow that so big. The community within associates, they're so resilient. It's amazing. They have their own journal clubs. They have their own Facebook pages. They have their own Google pages. Where do you move? How do I do this? And what's nice about it is our alumni, we're coming from 2007, we've got an alumni pool that is just as large. So there's a lot of internal back-to-back, back with each other training. But there are times, though, we have an associate who'll go to, I keep saying East Cupcake, Kansas, but there is someone who'll go to one place and be completely rural. But we are asking that question now. We're asking, would you take a rural placement? Because there are people sometimes who might not do great in a rural setting, and then they know it. And we want to know that ahead of time. We want to know that if you're not going to be okay doing that, then we're not going to send you out to a rural situation, or you might not be good in an urban situation. So we're getting a little more specific as far as having them choose, where traditionally it was, hey, you want a job with CDC? Come on, you're doing what we're telling you to do, and you're going to love it, and you're going to like it, and it's going to be great. Well, now we're doing the same thing. You're going to love it, like it, and it's great. But we're also giving them a little bit more flexibility because we realize that we can get better respondents and better results when someone truly is happy where they're living and happy with the agency they're working in.
That's great, thank you. A couple of questions specifically about the application. One, do you require any letters of recommendation?
At this point right now, we're not doing letters of recommendation.
Okay.
We had in the past, we do not now.
Okay. And do you have any tips for students when applying?
I think the biggest thing would be is not to be, when they're applying, is not to be, don't repeat our website. And I think, we'll laugh and we'll kind of joke sometimes amongst us when we're reviewing personal statements, and we think to ourselves, this is not a personal statement. This is, I want to save the world and do things, and I think we all know what that jargon is. I would say to be honest and explain why you want to work in public health. Why do you want to work with CDC? Why do you want to work with one of the premier agencies when you could work somewhere else? And, working for the government is challenging. We can't do everything we want to do, as we always know. So, throwing things in there like that, why do you want to work for CDC? Why do you want to work for PHAP? Why do you want to go somewhere you don't know anyone at, have no friends or family, and do public health? So really think about what we're asking you in these questions. And, the website can really share about what some of the questions would be centered around, their performances. This person who was in drama, people will ask me, well, how did he make it to the job? Well, he was a Boy Scout. So he showed leadership in doing the Boy Scouts. He did volunteering. So he really used almost everything that was non-public health, but showed empathy and sincerity and a passion for helping to fit into the public health metric. And it worked perfect. And he did fantastic. So really looking at what we're looking for, the best fit is what we really want. Someone who can fit those BEST, FITs, that's what we want.
Great. Does the CDC have a system in place to remove bias in the interview process? And related, do you have anyone not affiliated with the CDC during the review process?
We do have people that are within CDC, within the agency, not at PHAP, to help us review some of the host sites. So we've gotten a little bit away from just central, PHAP people reviewing. As far as outside, no, we haven't because these are federal guidelines we've got to follow for the hiring process. We're limited to what we can and can't do.
Great. How does the process of selecting a host site for the associates work? So I guess basically somebody's trying to get at how you do the matching.
It's a very, very incredible algorithm that we've put together. It really is. Believe it, it's quite detailed. And one of the things that we do is, if you can imagine what we're looking for, we want to make sure that they meet the competencies. Are they meeting all 42 competencies? If there's nothing in there about, let's say public health practice or cultural sensitivity or inclusion, and there's no training in there at all for the 2 years, or no opportunities for work that will help them learn those skills, well, then that's not going to get you points where you need them. So really looking at what the program's competencies are and what we're looking for the best fit. We want to make sure that the best fit person fits the host site. So the host site's asking for the best fit. They're not asking for someone who's got our experience. We don't want anyone who's got data analysis experience. I shouldn't say it like that. We don't require it. We don't require someone to know R or data analysis programs. And we don't want our host sites to require that. So that's one thing too. We want to make sure that host sites know that you're going to get someone who's baseline, this is their knowledge. Now there might be, because we get a lot of master students who apply and get accepted, that they know how to work R. Oh, it's a bonus. Or they work some type of data analysis program. But we want the host sites to know that you're looking for the base, frontline, basic core public health practice practitioner skill sets. And that's how we have people write their applications. Just make sure you hit all the competencies and make sure that you hit just the basic core public health. And then we'd like them to learn a little bit about budgeting if they could get a chance, or learn a little bit more about, local government. Those are all excellent experiences, but we want to make sure that the core program is there, and that's how we evaluate them.
Great. So on that, like a similar note, somebody can imagine that sometimes there are times when a PHAP intern isn't a good fit for the host site, or the host site is not a good fit for the intern. So do you have support in those situations if the student needs to leave, or do you ever move students around?
Yeah, it's very, very rare that happens, because by the time they get to us, we pretty much have really good, scrubbing of what to expect from them and what they expect from us. We've had situations, and I've had situations even personally, where we've had to move programs that, the supervisor at the local health department or health department, their expectations were a little bit off. And, we don't meet everyone. We have an application, we look at it on paper. So we've had some situations, it's been very, very rare. But what's been nice about it is we've been able to supplant them somewhere else or have them work somewhere else. We support that. We work with the host sites. We want to make sure the host sites know that this is we're expecting you to provide this. And if you didn't, let's talk about why you didn't and can we get you to? And, in most situations, I've got 8 years of supervising over 1,000 of these associates. I've never have had to fire them. Has it happened? Sure, of course. I mean, not everyone is as great as what we want them to be. But we've got really good, I think, tools in selecting host sites as well as associates. So we take pride in that. But we definitely have support for everyone. We don't want anyone to leave. If you have to, we'll support you. I mean, just getting in the programs is success. But we want to make sure that you want to be there and need to be there and can be there.
Excellent. So this sounds like this maybe is coming from a potential federal host site, but if the PHAP candidates are hired through the federal system, are they paid? We already talked about paid by CDC or the host agencies. So
paid by CDC, they get CDC paychecks. Yep.
Okay, and do they follow the federal government rules or the host agency rules?
We cannot supersede, so they understand what the federal rules are, but they are paid by us. So they understand what our rules are, but in most situations, it's the host sites that are a little bit more stringent than ours are.
Okay.
So we make sure they understand what the Hatch Act is. We make sure they understand that they can't do certain things as a federal employee. And there's been times where I've gotten calls saying, hey, they want me to do blah, blah, blah. And I'll say, you can't. And they're like, why not? And we'll talk about it. Or I'll say, we can get permission, but we need a justification, those kind of things. So we work in tandem with the requirements for the host site and then some of the limitations that the government employees have. But we definitely have never had a problem with that. I would say, if anything, it's local at the local and state level. They're more stringent than we are sometimes.
Okay. Two questions came in back to back that are related to the outcomes. And so what outcomes you see after their 2 years of work, and what kind of work do they usually go on to do after the program, or do they go to grad school, or what do they do?
I have great incredible slides to show you and all these different graphs and stuff. And I'm gonna speak from the top of my head after speaking to my data management person in 2 days ago. Was I want to say about 65% of them stay within the public health field, and that could be at the state or local or even CDC level. We do get about 25 to 35% go on for more schooling, either master's or at the doctorate level, but they stay within that field of public health. We do outcome monitoring at, I want to say 3, then 5, and then I think maybe 8 years. So we do have our staff at CDC reaching out to them 3 years out saying, what are you doing? Where are you? What are you working in? And so we do have some outcome monitoring, but that, I want to say that's just officially started. 2017 is when we have most of our data. And I think you might see some of that on our website. And things like that is stuff that I can definitely help us get to provide to schools like yourself and agencies like yourself to kind of show here's the success of what we're seeing. But the majority of them will go into some type of public health, and some go to medical school. And we're happy. We're like, yeah, you can spell epidemiology and you can spell, public health. This is great. We love it. We like this combination. And we've had some people who've gone and gotten their MDs and stuff. But it's a large majority will definitely stay within the public health field or public servant field.
Awesome. Just a follow-up question to the one we asked before about federal agencies. Does that mean that PHAPs can't work on advocacy work?
Eek. Yeah, no, they can't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Can you restate the application period, both for the applicants and for the host site?
So the dates that are really important for us to hang on to, I think probably the most important one would be it's January 20th through January 27th is when the application for associates opens up. January 20th through the 27th, and that's going to be on USA Jobs. And there's tutorials everywhere on USA Jobs on the internet to help you. I would encourage them to go on now. Even go back to your classrooms and tell them, set yourself up in USA Jobs. Get your resumes uploaded. Figure it out. Learn how to maneuver around it. Because when you see that application period open up, you want to be ready just to go send. So USA Jobs is something I would encourage you, anyone, even at any level of academia, to at least get something set up. As far as the host sites, we're opening up the host site application for 2 months. It starts December 15th until February 16th. And that's going to be December 15th to February 16th. All the requirements, all the competencies, all the links are located on the website. And we'll share that, like I said, on the one page, it'll have everything on there. But those are the dates that we stick to. And then an October start for the associates, which will be October start for the host sites as well.
Excellent. Okay, I think we've answered most of the questions pretty much. Oh, can a student with an associate degree apply, or do you have to have a bachelor's?
We have a bachelor's. You have to requirement for a bachelor's. But one thing we've talked about even as a group was maybe reaching out to some of the two-year colleges to talk a little bit about PHAP. And maybe if someone knew that this was an opportunity coming down the road in a couple of years, that maybe that would encourage them to want to get a bachelor's and maybe maintain a grade level of 3.0. I know, I mean, I laugh, we joke. I mean, I wish I would have known this was around, when I was going to school. But this is such an incredible opportunity that if someone thinks they want to go into public health and they're getting an associate's, it would be nice for them to know that there is an opportunity that all they have to do is get their bachelor's, maintain that 3.0 and apply. So we've talked about reaching out to two-year colleges. Feel free to reach this information out to two-year colleges, with the caveat that they've got to have a bachelor's. But I think this is a great first place or first start for us to touch base with the people who really want to do good and might not want to go to bachelor's right away, but if they might see the value of it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Heidi. Like I said, I thought this was really great and informative. So we are going to, one of the questions that came through is whether we'll have a similar format for students. And so I hope it's okay with you that we're saying we are working on putting that together right now. So we will share that information when we have a date set, and hope that all of you can share that with your students as well. So thank you again.
So Tracy, one note on that is I think, we talked earlier about that, and, I can seriously say we don't need to recruit. And, recruiting is a complete different animal when it comes to what you're looking for. This recruiting through you guys is our recruiting. We need you to help us find the best fit people. So even though they sit through a seminar that you and I coordinate maybe in December and talk about PHAP, that's not the best fit. I need people who are mentors to them and say, this might be something that you might consider, or let's talk about the pitfalls of working for a government agency, or let's talk about the pitfalls of working for here. So that's really the combination. So doing something for the students is not something we do all the time, but we will. I think it's anytime we can bring our message out is great. But we're going to encourage them to reach out to the teachers, talk to your teachers, professors. Would I be a good student? Would I be a good person? And that's the kind of stuff that we want to engage. We want them to not just apply, we want them to get the backing from someone and maybe include that in their narrative. I spoke to my professor and he said I'd be outstanding and his address is and his phone number, but really make it more of, this was a holistic view of, I think I want to work for PHAP and not just CDC. I want to do public health.
Great. All right. Well, lots of great information. So thank you all for joining us today. And thanks again, Heidi, for your time and for sharing all that with us. Sure. Have a great day, everybody.